Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaghy. So this is a contemporary fiction novel and it was published in 2021. So we have two main characters and they are sisters. We have Inti and Aggie. So this story is set in a few different places. In the present, it is set in Scotland and we are following our main character of Inti, and she is in Scotland because she is a biologist and she is reintroducing wolves to the Scottish Highlands. So she has brought, along with her team, 14 grey wolves, and they are going to reintroduce them into Scotland. And the idea is it's all about conservation and it's all about protecting the landscape. So because wolves were hunted to extinction in Scotland and in lots of other places, there are no natural predators in this area. And obviously once the predators are gone, the animals in the middle can go completely out of control. So there are lots and lots and lots of deer, and deer eat the bark and strip the bark from the trees. And so they're starting to destroy the forests. And obviously with no natural predators monitoring the population of the deer, they are stripping the trees of their bark, they are destroying the forests, and it is affecting the whole ecosystem. So the idea is if we bring the wolves back and then obviously they eat the deer, it keeps the deer population in check, and then in turn it will help protect the forest and it will make it a much more balanced ecosystem because you have reintroduced the top predator to this ecosystem. So that's the whole idea. Obviously there are people who are opposed to this, mainly the farmers, because obviously they can lose livestock and obviously that means they will lose money, and also they have reared these animals and they will obviously care about them too. So it's not just about the money, it's about losing part of their business and an animal that they have reared and they do care about. So there's a lot of issues here, and I think from reading the notes in the back, she has been heavily inspired by the reintroduction of wolves in Yellowstone, which is obviously really interesting, and they did successfully reintroduce wolves into Yellowstone in reality. Obviously nobody is reintroducing wolves into Scotland at the time, so obviously this is a book of fiction, but it's based on the idea of people reintroducing wolves into an ecosystem where they once used to be and have since been lost, most likely due to humans hunting them. So yeah, that is why Inti is there. And we also see them in different timelines. So we go back and forth between the past and the present. So in the present, they are both in Scotland and she's working on this project and her sister is living with her, but she doesn't have a job and she's not in a good way. She's not very well mentally, and she's definitely struggling, and she wouldn't be able to support herself without her sister supporting her financially, emotionally, and providing for her in lots of different ways. So that is our present day scenario, and we also see them as they were children. We see them growing up, and they have a little bit of maybe an unusual background, you would say. So their parents are no longer together, which isn't unusual, but his scenario is quite unusual, the father. So the father lives in British Colombia when they are children, and they spend some time with him every year. They mainly live with their mother, and she lives in Australia, and obviously the difference between Australia and British Columbia is quite different, and she lives in obviously a big city, and she is a police detective, and she's kind of like a gritty kind of crime cop kind of woman. And the father used to be a logger, and then he's turned into a naturalist, and he now just lives in the forest by himself, kind of completely alone, and supports himself. So very different upbringing for them, and for some part of their lives they choose to live with him for a time too. So this book is set partly in Australia, partly in British Columbia, partly in Scotland. And we're kind of going back and forth in the past and the present, just seeing more about the girls and learning about how they grew up and just different things that have happened in their lives. And also we get the backstory as why Aggie isn't very well mentally, and that's a couple of that's kind of the mystery that we're following. So yeah, even though this is a contemporary fiction novel, I would say it also is kind of a mystery novel. So there is one main mystery which I'll tell you about. So essentially, someone is found dead. And I'm obviously not going to tell you who that is, but the idea is it's been made to look like a wolf attack. So obviously either somebody has killed someone and made it look like a wolf attack because they want to remove the wolves from the area, and obviously if a wolf has killed a person, then they will have to kill the wolves, because obviously that isn't something that can be accepted. Even though they're reintroducing the wolves in society, if they've hurt someone, that isn't something, you know, the project will fail and they will kill the wolves. So that could have happened, or the wolves could have killed the person. And then you have to think, if it is someone who's killed the person and then made it look like a wolf attack, have they done that purely to destroy the wolves, or have they done that as a clever way to manipulate and hide their murder? So was their motive to kill this person, or was their motive to kill someone and frame the wolves to remove the wolves? Also, though, then you are kind of murdering someone to make your end goal. Or was it both? Did they want to kill this person and remove the wolves? And then it just wrapped up nicely in one easy little bow. So that's kind of what's going on. So there's a murder mystery. Someone has been killed. Obviously we don't know if it's by humans or by wolves. And then we also have the mystery of what has happened to Inti's sister, what's happened to Aggie. And obviously we do figure out both mysteries. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good book. I had a good time with it, and I'm going to give this one 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it was interesting. I had some really good theories about what I thought was going on with kind of the murder mystery, and I think I was pretty on board with some of them, which I quite liked. But I think it was interesting to follow these characters, and some of it I would say was a little bit what's the word? Maybe a little bit predictable as such. So yeah, I had a really good time with it. I've given it 4 stars. It was a good read. Like I say, had a good time with it. Interesting murder mystery. Really like the setting. Really like the idea of reintroducing wolves to an area to protect the ecosystem, reintroducing a top predator. Yeah, I really like that. I thought it was interesting. Also, we have a little bit kind of a romance. So we have our main character. She's single when she goes to Scotland, and then she has a little bit of a dalliance, a little bit of a romance with one of the men in town. And yeah, it was good. I had a good time. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be one of my best books of all time, one of my favourite books. But yeah, it was a really good, solid, good read, 4 stars. Really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think I just really enjoyed the kind of wildlife ecosystem aspect of it, which was interesting. And then obviously reading about the fact that she was quite heavily inspired by what happened at Yellowstone. And yeah, just really, really quite interesting, quite liked it. But I would say, yeah, sometimes maybe a little bit predictable. Some of the things that I thought might happen kind of did happen, and some of the things I thought was going on with her sister and why she wasn't very well, I was kind of right with all of those things. So I wouldn't say it's one of those murder mysteries or kind of the mystery of what happened to her sister that's just, there's no twists and turns and big shocks or anything. I think it's, well, not for me anyway. But I found it, yeah, good. Enjoyed it, good read. And I really like the setting of Scotland. And I really like the, obviously the moral question of reintroducing wolves, and then if we have people who are farmers who might lose their livestock, the idea was if they did lose their livestock, then they would be paid for the loss of their livestock. So we're not just reintroducing wolves and then telling farmers that they are going to lose money essentially, and they will get reimbursed, but obviously it's not always just about the money, etc., etc. And then I will say as well, towards the end, maybe things got a little bit unbelievable for me. I'm obviously not going to tell you what happened, but there was some things that happened towards the end in the forest where it just felt perhaps a touch unbelievable, maybe a little bit of magical realism potentially. And I think before it was a book that was grounded very much in reality, and then there was maybe a little bit of yeah, just something that I didn't think was very believable. But it didn't really affect my enjoyment. I still had a good time with it. But yeah, there's a couple of things that were maybe a little bit predictable, maybe a little bit unbelievable. And that is what stopped me giving it a 5-star. But otherwise, good time, good book. And if you're interested, I definitely recommend you pick it up. So yeah, if you've read this one, I would love to hear what you thought of it down in the comments below. If you've read anything else by this author, then let me know that too. I will definitely read more by her again in the future. And if you're now interested in reading this and I've convinced you to read it, definitely come back once you've read it and let me know what you thought of it. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you've liked it, and please do subscribe if you'd like to hear more of me talking about books. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.